founded in 130 years ago in Russia, because the Russian Tsar was also an anti-Semite, and he didn't want Jews to have skilled trades. He wanted them to remain peddlers and go around, you know, begging from place to place. Anyway, art managed to bring in people who gave them skills, and as a matter of fact, the organization still exists, and exists now again in Russia, supposedly, and in different countries, including, of course, Israel, and a couple of schools in the United States. Anyway, I went back to the art school after 3 weeks home, staying with my mother to try to help her cope. And eventually, at the art school, with the help of, or with the promise of American and British financial help, the school was supposed to be moved from Germany to England, because at that particular time, after the 9th of November, nobody who was Jewish in Germany thought that they could go on living there. It was just impossible. I mean, the synagogues were burning, and stores were broken into and looted and what have you. And you know, a lot of people lost their jobs and whatever. So there was no way out. But an art was there to train us. We were only boys, there were only males in that school. They trained us in all kinds of metal trades, so that even if we went away out of the country and to a new country like England, for instance, even if we didn't know the language, the skill that we acquired, nobody could take away. Anyhow, the idea was to transfer the entire school to England, but the Nazis wouldn't allow the equipment to go along. And that was very, very important, because without equipment we couldn't learn the trades. And so consequently we didn't know that there was sort of like a depressive mood among all of us, because we didn't know were we going to England or not. Eventually the parents all assembled in the school, and their idea was, if you can't take the equipment along, please, please save our children. They made the sacrifice, and to tell you the truth, of all the kids that eventually went to England, hardly any one of them saw their parents ever again. And they all vanished, they all vanquished in the concentration camps, in the death factories, you might say. Anyway, we went. In order to boost up the morale of the kids, we were told that anybody who had a musical instrument, to bring it along, and once a week we would play all kinds of different songs, preferably not German ones, but some American ones and some English, whatever we knew. And we would play with whatever kind of instruments there were, and it wasn't too great a skillful thing, but anyway, we boosted the morale, and that's what counted. And eventually, in 1939, my sister, by the way, was able to get out of Germany in spring of 1939. She went with the so-called Kindertransport to England. And we were waiting and waiting and waiting. We all had passports, and we hoped that eventually we get our visas to go to England. And towards the end of July, I think it was, all our passports were stamped with a visa, but we still didn't have a date yet when we would leave. We left eventually, on the 27th of August, 1939, on a Sunday morning, and it was a day when the German radio had announced general mobilization. In other words, people were being called to the army. Not only that, but also they announced the food and clothing rationing. So they knew that war was imminent, really. So we were 100 kids walking the streets with a small backpack or a very small suitcase, we were told, no big suitcases. And we walked to the city, to the elevated train, which took us to a train station where trains could go out of the country. And, you know, we went just to the city train, and there were people standing in front of apartment houses, and they saw how old we were, or how young we were, really. We were between 15 and 17 years at the most. And they said, "Oh, they're taking you too already?" Thinking that we were going to the army. Anyway, at the station that was going to take us, the train that was going to take us out of the country, some people, parents, had found out where we would be going from. And they came to the station to wave us goodbye, and it was the last time they saw their sons. Anyway, we drove, yeah. We took the train, and we went as far as Cologne in Germany, the city of Cologne. And there, the German army took over our train. And we had to spend 3/4 of a day in Cologne. That was already on the 27th, yes, of August. Towards evening, we got another train eventually, and towards evening we crossed the Dutch border, and we had hardly been in Holland for about half an hour or so when the train stopped again, and we didn't know what for. We only found out later that the Queen was speaking to her subjects, the Queen of Holland, telling them that war was imminent and to be prepared for, I guess, for the worst or whatever. That was the next morning was the 28th, and somewhere or other, some people had been alerted that we were on the train. There was a committee, and they brought us some food, because the trains that we had didn't have dining cars. Neither did we have the money to pay for them. Anyway, these people were nice enough to bring us some food to the train, and we continued on to the harbor of Hoek van Holland. There we went on to a ship that was supposed to sail the next day, on the 29th of August. The reason I'm saying of these dates, telling you these dates, is because you'll find out that on the 1st of September, the war in Europe started. And anyway, so we went to sleep. We had already 2 nights without sleep, and we went to sleep on top of the boards of the ship on the outside, regardless of there were no beds or anything like that. This was not a liner. It was just a transport over the channel from Holland to England. So we got to the harbor of Harwich, and we took a train to London, arriving there in the evening. And we went to a wonderful hotel called the Rowden House on the east end of London, which was actually what was known then as a flop house. I don't know if any one of you know the expression, but it's a house for homeless people.